Back to the Shepherd Building. This is the Board of Selectmen. It's August 20th, 2026 at 6 p.m. This is the Board of Selectmen, and we're going to open the meeting, and can we stand for the pledge? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, and we are going out live on various streaming platforms, and if you're going to record, please let us know. All right, so we'll start off with public comments and concerns, 3 minutes per person. Anybody? Joe? And, if you're going to speak, say your name and who you represent.
Joe Condrat, resident. Gentlemen. And one for you.
Thank you.
At the last formal meeting, we discussed the bank building in downtown Warren as a possible police station site. The pictures that I've given you are roughly around 1900. So you can see the original building, one next to it that was later Tucker's Hardware that they took down in order to put the drive-through. And on the other side, basically in front of the town hall, was Hitchcock's Tavern, which they took down to put in the Citgo station. The bottom picture is basically the corner of Main Street and Ross Street, West Warren, and that is the Allard Building in its original condition. So something to think about. This town has changed and buildings have been lowered. On the top picture, although I didn't mark it, just to the right of the bell tower on the town hall, that is one of the steeples to St. Paul's Church. Those were taken down in 1938. Thank you.
Thanks. Anybody else?
Jim McKeon. I just want to let everyone know, and the public, we got advised today that Sturbridge is going to be doing road pavement on Route 148 next Monday and Tuesday. So they're kind of trying to deter as many people, traffic away from that area as possible. So just keep in mind, next Monday and Tuesday, Route 148, if you're going through Sturbridge, try to go down to Burnfield. This is going to be a lot of action on that road. Okay. All right, thank you.
Anybody else? All right, moving on. Police Chief Monthly Report, July 2026.
Jerry Millette, Police Chief. For the month of July, the department logged 1,491 calls, investigated 11 felonies, had 71 incident reports, 6 on-view arrests, 5 warrant arrests, 21 summonses, for a total of 32, 0 protective custody, 1 juvenile arrest, 120 motor vehicle stops, 93 citations, 3 motor vehicle accidents. At the beginning of July, we took possession of our new police interceptor SUV. This vehicle is a hybrid, which replaces a hybrid cruiser that was due for replacement. In the second week of July, we experienced a few issues with our copy machine. With the help of Christina, the vendor was called and came out right away and fixed that machine. Which, that was your idea. That's a great idea with the copy machines.
The leasing?
Yes.
Yeah.
The company comes and they respond to you like that, so that's worked out very well.
Good, good.
On the 9th, the department received a gift from a family in town who wishes to remain anonymous. The gift was a flag of the United States of America commemorating the nation's 250th anniversary. The flag was flown over the United States Capitol at the request of Congressman Richard Neal. Display case was purchased for the flag and the certificate and now hangs in the hallway of the police station. This family, they've taken very good care of us. They replaced the flagpole that's out by our front door, and they make sure that flag out there is always new and fresh. And they purchase a new flag for us almost every year for that pole, and they also did this for us, so that was very nice. I wish to thank them. On the 9th, Officer Curtis was appointed by the Board of Selectmen. He started his first shift later in the month on the 22nd. On the 13th, I attended my monthly Homeland Security meeting. On the 15th, BG Mechanical came and serviced our mini split unit, which heats and cools the department's admin assistance area. On the 21st, Officer Gunner Tintel and I hung the new speed sign on South Street. We moved one from Rogers Farm up to Main Street by the PD. We have one more sign that's gonna be going up on Brimfield Road also. On the 28th, I attended my first building committee meeting with the Central Massachusetts Regional Dispatch Center. I had the luck of being voted to the vice chair of the committee. On the 30th, I attended the school committee safety meeting at Quaywad, where we talked about a few safety grants that we were looking to possibly apply for. And finally, for the month, Officer Tintel attended 2 trainings, motor vehicle crash investigation, as well as crash data retrieval.
Any questions?
Who is the chair?
The town administrator for Charlton, not me.
Chair.
All right, thank you, Chief.
You're very welcome, thank you.
All right, next up is the Emergency Management Monthly Report, June and July 2026.
Good evening, Emergency Manager James McKeon with my June report. June 5th, our first concert held at Dean Park. There was a petting zoo. Certain members helped with the parking. June 6th, Quaybog Regional School graduation. Certain members helped with parking within the school grounds. Once the school grounds get filled up, we help safely direct people to park along the roads, which worked out pretty good. We had 4 members help out. June 7th, we had a siren test. We did normal there. June 12th was our touch and truck event held at Dean Park. Members once again helped with the parking. June 19th, fireworks and concert, which was held at the high school. Helped with crowd control, directing people, bus places to park. And 5 people helped in one Charlton. On the 26th, the next Friday following, we had another concert at Dean Park. A certain number of the parking there. And then June 27th, 2 members went down to assist the Sturbridge 250th parade they had that went from their Sturbridge Village to the town common. We were down blocking one of the back roads, back gates. June. July 1st to the 3rd, we had a heat wave. We opened our cooling center. We didn't really have too many people use it when we had it available, which we do for most heat advisory times. July 5th, our siren systems again tested. Later that day, we assisted the town of New Braintree with their 250th. They had an Army band concert. We helped them park their cars in a couple fields. It was quite well attended. July 8th, we assisted the police and fire, the missing person on Cutler Road. Certain members were initially stationed at the end of Cutler Road to only let residents and any searchers or police through. Then the following days, I logged all the operational and what you'll see. July 11th, we assisted the Sturbridge CERT with a 5K, 2 members assisted there along the route, checkpoints. July 13th, we heard, July 13th, heard back that we got the 25 MPG grant was officially gotten. We're gonna be getting, or should we just receive the 120 cots. These cots can withhold more weight for more adults. They're gonna be, we're gonna be getting some more storage containers with these cots in. July 14th and 15th, we had another heat wave. Senior center was open. A couple people used it this time. The web EOC reports were attached. July 18th, set up an informational tent at the farmer's market, pass out safety information. We're going to try to set up this booth once a month through October. And then on the afternoon of July 19th, this person was recovered. CERT members helped with some staging operations. Then on the July 22nd, there was a structure fire at 64 Southbridge Road. The road was closed for a few hours. That's pretty much what I got for the report. I just want to mention with the town alerts, we lure people, try to make sure they keep on that app, download it. Sometimes even if you get a new phone or something, or even once in a while, it might be good to take it out, reload it, refresh it. We're going to try to put everything out we can on that. Try to see the events, everything. That's the truth, instead of following Facebook all the time.
4,000 people.
4,000, yeah. It's a pretty good number. Message get out. That's all I got.
So question, the cots that we got,
Yeah.
those would be used like in case of, I don't know, we had a hurricane or.
Yeah,
or
for
a tornado or
sheltering.
something.
Yeah, they would
Okay.
be used them at senior center and pretty much anywhere. They're gonna be able to be, I'm gonna have them in totes
Okay.
available. Make sure I check them, make sure they don't get anything like that. Keep them in a nice dry place too. But we do have quite a few cots at the high school currently too. This is just building on. And then mutual aid too, if somebody in the community needed a few or something, or
Yeah.
so we would be working with them.
All right, any questions? Thank you, Jim.
I don't know if it's the right time to ask housing commission of the levy, or that's a separate thing.
Yeah, that would be separate, because that's a levy committee.
Yeah, there's really hasn't been too much water in it right now.
Nothing to
but-
panic.
Yeah, it is, yeah. It's good there. Actually, right now, we have a little bit of rain here and there, but the water tables are really still low. So the ground can take quite a bit of water right now. Unless it comes real quick. Then you'll have some watch-outs.
All right,
Okay.
All right, discussion with a possible vote to appoint Danielle Fountain for a 3-year term on the Warren Cultural Council.
Good evening, Danielle Fountain, resident, wishing to be appointed to the Cultural Council, just to further help our community.
Do they have open slots?
They do, yeah.
Okay, do they have more than just the 1-year term?
Oh, yes.
Oh, they do, okay. All right, well, if other people want to apply. All right. Any questions for Danielle?
I don't think so.
All right.
I'll make a motion to appoint Danielle Fountain for a 3-year term on the Warren Cultural Council.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Ray Capaco, aye.
Derek Bailey's aye.
Rich Hacker, aye.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you very much.
All right, review with a possible vote on the execution of a contract between the Town of Warren and Wind River Environmental LLC for the transportation and transfer of liquid wastewater treatment plant sludge.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, good evening. Before you this evening is a contract for consideration between the town and Wind River Environmental LLC for the transportation and transfer of liquid wastewater treatment plant sludge. We went out to bid on this contract late May, early June. We received, the bids were due back in July. The low bidder was Wind River Environmental. They are the current contract holder of the transfer of plant sludge at the sewer plant. So we are continuing on with them. They were the low bid. We're asking the board to sign off on this contract. The Board of Sewer Commissioners also signed off on it at their meeting about a week or so ago. And then David Perry, who is the CEO of the company, will also sign on as well. This contract, the current contract expires October 31st. This contract will start November 1st for 3 years.
All right, any questions?
I don't have any.
No, sir. And our current vendor.
Yep, so Wind
Okay.
River Environmental bought out J&M Transfer.
Oh, okay.
So they were our original vendor.
Okay,
And now Wind River is taking over for them.
all right. Okay, is there a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we execute the contract between the Town of Warren and Wind River Environmental LLC for the transportation and transfer of liquid wastewater treatment plant sludge.
Is there a second?
Second,
All in favor?
Ray Capaco, aye.
Derek Bailey's aye.
Rich Hacker, aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right. Presentation on the recent study findings with Tecton Architects, Jeff McLav, how do you say? McElravy.
Just like it's spelled.
On the potential redevelopment options at 968 Main Street for the purpose of housing the town's police department and to set dates for future public presentations. All right, Jeff, take it away. It's exciting stuff.
I'm gonna use this so I can cheat, not look over my shoulder too much, but let you know, when we move forward, I think now's a good time. So we're gonna
Next one.
just a quick agenda, of what we're gonna be looking at tonight, we're gonna talk a little bit of a high level on where we're at with programming. I did add a new diagram that I didn't include in the draft study, that we can talk about today as well. And then we'll go through the conceptual design for the former Cornerstone Bank building, and talk a little bit about how that laid out and the challenges and things that worked well. We have a current opinion of total project cost that is based upon a third-party estimate done by an estimator. We took a look at the conceptual drawings and put their evaluation of what the potential costs would be. And then we've taken a look at the new construction police facility option that we had in the previous study and carried that forward just for comparison. And I did, based on some of your questions, revisit that, and so there's a little bit of adjustment to that number. And then finally, we'll just talk about what next possible steps are. So that will move to the next slide. So you've got a couple different charts here on the screen, and the two that you see right now are the ones that were included in the draft study. And on the left-hand side, that was the original programming based on a single-story police station without the de-escalation, the firearms training simulator. So we ended up with a total square footage of 8,900 square feet. There's a couple things I want to point out because they're meaningful in the following discussion. You'll see that highlighted box indicates that we have about 2,053 square feet of net to gross allowance in that program. That's about a 30% net to gross allowance, and we have police stations with lots of little small rooms and they're often connected with quarters. That's a pretty common number that we see for a net to gross allowance. All of the other program areas are exactly the way they were in the previous study. The next thing I did for you, and I did this as part of the study, whoops, not yet,
Oh,
I'm
sorry.
going the other side, is I said, okay, what if this were a 3-story building instead of a 1-story building? And so the obvious result is I end up with stair towers and I end up with an elevator. And so if I did this as a brand new building, 3 stories, I would have approximated this at about 10,837 square feet. You'll see that I still carry the 30% net to gross, but it is now built on top of that added stair square footage and elevator square footage. So that had I programmed this as a 3-story building from the outset, I'd have been at 10,837. Now you can go to the next slide. These diagrams just sort of break down in sort of big categories how that square footage is utilized. And you can see this 30% over here is what we call building anatomy. That has a lot to do with your mechanical, electrical spaces. It has a lot to do with your exterior wall thicknesses, your net to gross, your hallways and all of that. And so in that single story scheme, all of those things together ended up with about 30% of the square footage. In the 3-story scheme, because obviously we've added the vertical circulation of the stair towers and the elevator, that ended up at 42%. I probably will have to flip back to the slide in a minute, just to demonstrate. So in the next step I did, next slide please, is I said, okay, let's see what the actual floor plan that I developed from the Cornerstone Bank is coming back to. And you'll note that the building is actually bigger than that 10,837 square feet. There's a basement down there that we're using very little of because we do see indications that it gets damp. I'm not going to say it floods or anything like that, but I do see indications that it gets damp on occasion. But also, because of the way the program laid out in the building, because that angle and things, we actually found that, it's a less efficient floor plan than if we did a brand new, purpose-built design. And you can see I ended up, I added up all the square footage of the rooms, and then I went backwards and said, okay, what's left? What's my building anatomy number? And you see it's up to 55%. There's a lot of square footage in there that doesn't fulfill programmatic need. So these rooms fulfill programmatic need. That is just how you move around the building and the building envelope and mechanical, electrical, plumbing space. So it's a less efficient floor plan than if it was a purpose-designed floor plan. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because you've got an asset. I just wanted to make that comparison. So if you just humor me 1 second, we have this 55% here. Go back those 2 slides. Or one slide, there you go, 30% and 42%. So again, the existing building resulted in a less efficient layout. I will say, in further design, if this project were to move forward, we might be able to improve on that some, but I wouldn't expect dramatic improvement based on the way that we were challenged by the program. So, moving forward, we'll go take a look at the conceptual design. And when we were talking last year about the public safety building, this came up in our last public presentation, and of course that time we had the property card, and obviously that's the information that we started with last year. We also took a look at the GIS mapping for that site, and so from there that's when we started doing our design work. We did send some staff member out. He recorded a video as he walked through the entire building and did all the field measurement, so that we could have a pretty good base plan to start our design with. And I also walked the building with the police and fire chief and the town administrator. Go ahead to the next slide. So this is the conceptual site plan that we developed. You can see the main body of that existing bank building. This is where the drive-through is. I did propose an addition that sort of wraps around the back of this, and the reason I did it is because there's a few things. This is a wood frame building. Sally ports, where we bring in cars to transfer, do not work well on wood frame floors. We need to put that as a concrete slab on grade. Likewise, the cells are sit back in this area. For those that have a slab on grade, because it's a much more secure and safe cell block, so I did not put that on the existing wood frame flooring. And then, of course, the new elevator that I proposed in the corner. And that sits outside the building so that we don't have to cut through the whole building and then get down into the basement and dig out an elevator pit, which would probably involve a lot of handwork and drive costs. And then we also decided that we could probably save a stop, because if everything downstairs is just mechanical space, maybe a little storage space, we don't actually have to run the elevator down to service that floor, so I could get away with 2 stops instead of 3 if I went through the building. You can see I still retain 8 spaces on the back of the site. I did lose a couple right where the addition for the sally port was. And then, of course, we have the existing parking lot right across the street on Old West Brookfield Road. And right now I counted about 15 parking spaces from the area of that. So we've got about 23 total parking spaces. Plus, I kept the drive-through there as some covered parking so that you can have a couple cruisers or other vehicles of the department. In the case of inclement, obviously, we've got some vehicles that aren't getting covered by snow at the station. The floor plans, and again, I mentioned that, oops, I'm advancing my slide, but not yours. The floor plan that on the left side is the basement level floor plan, and again, we use this for very little programmatic area. We are planning to use it for all our mechanical, electrical space. There is an awful lot of plumbing that goes through there. We've got low headroom down there, so it's probably best purposes is excess storage and mechanical, electrical, plumbing space. I do have to rework some stairs to make sure I have proper egress. This, by the way, was closed off at the time. And we couldn't actually get into that other back part of the basement until we discovered there was a nice access hatch that got us down into that back part of the basement. So I understand this stair down and then reworking this stair so it has the proper grading height. On the ground floor, one of the big challenges I had is even though you have a door that comes in off the grade right off the sidewalk, once you get inside, the floor is a few feet higher. And so I needed a way to get handicap accessible area up to the lobby. And so I can't build outside because I'm right on the sidewalk and I run out of room out there. So what we ended up doing is working a ramp inside the building right after you come in so you can get up to that first floor level. We tied that, connected it back to the stairway, so you can still access that stair and come down to the lobby as well. Right off the lobby, we have a couple public use restrooms and our training facility. One time we had talked about the training room as a back-of-house function, but because we're still looking at helping out the fire department and also the community meeting purpose, we revised that and brought that training room right out to the front lobby so that the fire department can use it for training, the police department can use it for training, and then we still have it accessible for public use and public meeting. There's a couple rooms off of there that are existing. One of them is a vault that we'll use for storage, for excess furniture storage. If we want to clear the room out, we do other kinds of training in there, and then also the training material storage. I'm worn out the microphone. How's that? Sorry. Right off the lobby is our main reception point, your administrative assistant's office right now, which also serves as your backup dispatch location. We continue up the hall. We flank the hall with patrol facilities on the left-hand side. We get our evidence storage right in the core of the building. As you wrap around the back, you can see the new stair that we've carved in, so we have 2 means of egress off of each floor. Our prisoner processing area sits back in the back corner, and then our sally port is the new addition, that dark black walls, where you can pull a cruiser in and transfer a detainee right into the prisoner area. And then, of course, the cell block off the back, which is just 2 cells. One of them has to be handicap accessible. And then, of course, the elevator. I did position the elevator. I got the machine room and storage room to get basically the pit of the elevator a little bit away from our foundation wall. It is a stone foundation, a lot of that, and so I don't want to disturb that, nor do I want to impose excess load. So I got a little bit off the edge of the existing wall. And of course, we'll use those covered bays, the old drive-through bays for the bank as covered parking for cruisers. Upstairs, we'll go one more. Yes, sir.
So I have a question about the elevator. That's not.
I'll get into that later. I got all your questions. Go ahead.
Well, so, I'm realizing that's not for public use, right?
It meets the Title II requirement for a government building that must be accessible.
Okay, but it's really internal use, right?
Well,
'Cause-
it's going to be mostly internal use. If you have a visitor that needs to get up to see the chief, they're going to have to use the elevator.
Okay, so I guess, yeah, I mean, the drawback is generally, I think they're gonna want the public in the lobby area and really nowhere else unless they're under arrest. But now you gotta walk people through like
Yes.
the internals of the police station to get up to see the chief.
Yeah, I
which
originally put it right near the lobby, but as we move things around, I was getting concerned that I'm doing a lot of excavation in a lot of different locations. I thought we would save money by getting it all in one excavation.
Okay,
So, I mean,
Yeah.
yes, I did explore options where it was closer to the lobby. Chief, you ever have civilians in your office? Yeah. So, it happens.
so with this scheme, it would be better for you to come down probably, right?
Yeah.
And meet them,
With this scheme, I'd probably go to somewhere on the first floor of the conference room or wherever.
yeah, or the training.
Training room.
Training room, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I don't know, it just seems like a drawback of this setup is that.
Yeah, remember, it's conceptual design. We can always change it should we continue forward in this
Right,
direction. Upstairs, again, my stair comes up on one side and a new one on the back. I get a hallway that connects them. Our administrative offices are up at the front with our chief or sergeants or investigative area, our lieutenant's office. Our archive storage is up there, as well as a restroom that serves that administrative area. If we continue heading back that hallway, you connect off to the left to where our department break room is. We also have our IT server room off of that area. Further back is our men's and women's locker rooms. Those have the programmed future growth area in them with the police-sized lockers. Back in the back, we talked about that room could be the fitness room, or we could just leave it as unfinished space and grow into it at some point in the future. And then, of course, you see the elevator coming up back on that back side of the facility there. We're sitting, the lowest level the basement level sits about just shy of 5,000 square feet. The main floor is the biggest floor. And then our upper floor just sits over just a little bit over 5,000 square feet. That's important for something we're going to talk about here. And guess what? There's a couple renderings we did of the building, and I'm sorry I didn't tell you to advance again. A couple renderings we did of the building. They look a lot like the building does today with a little bit of change. Because you are a green community, we do need to think about our envelope and making sure that we upgrade our insulation and our windows so that we meet the standards for that. And we'll probably have to look at roof insulation as well, whether we do that on top of the roof as part of a re-roofing job or a combination of on top and underneath. You still have the on-street parking for public use right up in front of the building. We still have the lot next door, and of course those 8 spaces in the rear. Now we'll advance to the next slide. I'm not going to miss it this time. There's another view. You can see the elevator tower in the back, and then the entrance, or actually the exit of the sally port back beyond the drive-through. And then we'll move forward. Wow, that's interesting. Oh, okay, here we go. We're going to look at the budget a minute. I had this slide in the public safety presentation. We got it again, just so that everybody understands. There's 3 major components of the budget that we've developed. The first one is the hard construction cost. That's the number that comes from that third-party estimator, different company, not my company. The next one is some numbers that we have some rules of thumb for, which are your project development costs. That's everything from architectural and engineering fees to furniture, fixtures, and equipment, to bonding costs, to builder's risk insurance. It's a whole slew of little items that are outside of the construction contract, but are still costs that you have to deal with when doing a new project. And of course, the last bucket of money is the contingencies. Whenever you do a project, any project, you need to carry some contingency for unforeseens and things that you discover along the way. Later on, we'll talk about the question of why the contingency is higher for the bank building. So all those together create our project cost. We'll go one more slide. And so from my third-party estimator, looking at the drawings, I got a $10,343,000, $10,343,350 hard construction cost number. My project development costs, and I believe you had the full breakdown in the booklet, came to about $2,626,000. And then the contingency sat around 907. That contingency is two things. One, there's a part of it that goes to the development cost because those are it's basically rule of thumb calculations, and part of it is the actual contingency you carry for the construction. And so we ended up looking at a total project cost of about $13,876,350. And I know that everybody goes, we have a building, how can this be higher? And unfortunately, it's something I've seen a lot lately. It used to be, when I started my career 40-something years ago, generally you could reuse an existing building and save a lot of money. When we're dealing with public safety buildings, particularly right here in Massachusetts and green communities, we are finding more and more often that we're getting costs that are higher for renovations than we are for new construction. Part of it is that excess square footage that I showed you on that pie chart. Part of it is we've got to redo so much. I've got to redo that whole lobby floor to get that ramp in there. I got to redo the stairs to make them compliant. I've got to fur out the entire envelope so I can get the proper level of insulation. I've got to replace much of the mechanical systems because the floor plan is different, the whole distribution is going to be different, and my loads are going to be different. By the way, mechanical, electrical, plumbing systems in new construction can be 40% of the cost of a building. So if I'm doing that, plus I've got to remove what's there, I'm spending a chunk of change doing that. And then the final piece is just that police buildings, they're essential services facility. They do meet a higher standard in terms of resilience. And so because it is a wood frame building, we actually get a little advantage because we can take a lot of the existing wood frame walls or our new walls, our new furring, and create shear walls. Shear walls basically are stiff walls that we put in two directions in the building so the building can resist lateral loads. That's the load of winds, of hurricanes, of earthquakes, anything that creates a movement left to right, as opposed to gravity loads, which are the loads that just hold up the building and hold up the floors. So all of those things together, have driven up a lot of the labor effort that goes into renovating a building. And labor costs are huge. They're higher today than they've ever been before. And so they really are driving a lot of our excess renovation costs. Next slide. So here we go. The Board of Selectmen question here. This is one I got, and this is this one I'm gonna put a thumbtack in it at the moment because I talked to my in-house building official. We have a registered building official, and we talked about the CMR 521 requirement that would allow us to possibly use a LULA. And my in-house building official is interpreting the basement as a floor of the building, a story of the building. My in-house building official is a little on the conservative side, so I want to take this up a level. And we got this question at the end of last week. I want to take it up and just get the mass access board interpretation on that, because that would be, if we were less than 3 stories, that would be one of the criteria that would allow us to use a LULA and save a bit of money over an elevator. I don't want you to think that it's going to, cut it in half or make it go away, because a LULA still needs some of the same provisions an elevator does. It still needs the shaft, it still needs a smaller pit, and it still needs an overrun. The same issue goes on the ADA. I spent some time, the Title II, which is a government building or a local, it's state, local, federal government. The Title II requirement is more stringent than the Title III requirement. An exception very similar to this one that you have in the 520 CMR exists for Title III buildings, which would be commercial buildings. Whereas the Title II buildings, I did not find that exception. So I want to just dig a little bit deeper on that. And if I do find that there is a way to substitute a LULA, I will get you the information, and I'll ask my cost consultant to give me a savings on that. So I just, in the few days that I've been looking at it, I have not got a definitive answer on that one yet. Next slide. So then we'll take a look at new construction at the DPW, and this is from, again, the last public presentation we did on the public safety study, where we had approximated what a new police station on the site adjacent to the public works building would be. And I demonstrated, we could get a footprint on there and some parking. I want you to remember that at one point we had the entire public safety building on this parcel. I think that comes in play on one of the questions that I got later on. Just another question that came up on the costing of this one. If you could go to the next slide, please. One of the questions was questioning the amount because of the previous study had it a lower amount. I did go back and revisit the calculation. The estimator changed his formatting from 2024 when he did the first estimate, and the person that entered it in did not catch that. So I went back. It looked like we were double dipping on some of the markup costs. So I fixed that. I did adjust this for the escalation since the first estimate, and then escalation out to when we might actually be building this. So you'll see that the number that's included in this presentation is different than the one in the draft study. It actually went down a bit. Next slide, please. There we go. That's why I included that question right there, because here's that next number. So it was sitting about 12 million. When I corrected the numbers, we're sitting at about 10.8 million for the new construction. That's the 89 square foot single story. 8,900 square foot single story, as opposed to this 16,000 square foot renovation job. Next slide, please. You also asked a question about reference on page 42 of the draft study about certification. That was in reference to like a LEED certification or another. There's a number of standards out there for sustainability. I think the point that was getting made was simply that there's a green community standard for what we need to do in terms of building envelope. We're meeting that. We are not going further towards any of those other certifications. And I think the question also asked, what is the upside downside of that? We do a lot of very sustainable buildings, and not very many of them pursue the actual LEED certification. It is a little bit of a prestige thing. You get to claim, look, we have a LEED certified building, whether it's simply certified gold or bronze. It's a prestige thing, but there's additional cost and additional compliance measures that go well beyond the green building or green community standard. So we base this estimate on meeting the green community standard, not on any LEED certification or WELL certification or any of those. So that's the answer to the question about certification. Next slide. I also got asked about the line items for allowances for stockpile and site material and site material removal. I want you to remember that we have never done a conceptual design for the single-story police station. What we've worked with is basically that site test bit that demonstrates it's possible, and we've used, the square footage, cost per square footage numbers from the public safety study. That's how we arrived at the original number for that. The same token goes, right now, we would be disturbing an area that the Department of Public Works is currently, the highway garage is currently using for material stockpile. And so the proposal had been to do a little bit of earth removal, tree clearing on the backside, so that we could replicate that storage so that the highway garage was not losing storage space on the site. And the number, quite frankly, is not based on any serious calculations. We just don't have enough information. We don't have a topographic survey of the site. We haven't done any borings. So yes, further investigation may reduce that number. It could also make us rethink the way we're solving it. So just keep that in mind. This is a placeholder because we know there's a cost there. Also, the question of furniture, FF&E fees, furniture and equipment fees. I told you before that our software sets up by rules of thumb, even though the renovation has more square footage, and that's why it got a higher number. The program area, the actual function area in the police station hasn't increased. So I could go back and renormalize that and get it back to align with the existing police, or with the new construction police number.
Okay.
Next slide, please. Okay, MEP commissioning, what is it? It just so happens somebody in my family works for a commissioning firm, and I didn't have the opportunity to talk to her boss and find out the short answer to what is commissioning. It's a complicated thing, but basically, the building systems have gotten much more complicated in recent years. And so commissioning is an additional service that you can opt to pay for. If you were you were the enhanced stretch code, it's a requirement. But where you are, I think it's an option. But basically, they go through and do follow-up inspection of all the installation of the equipment and do testing to make sure that it all meets the design standard and performs in the way that it was designed to. So it basically is it's a safety net to make sure that your systems run as effectively and as efficiently as possible when you take occupancy of the building. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Okay, good. Materials testing, what is it? So the various components of construction, new construction, are required to be inspected and tested in different ways to make sure they're in compliance. Concrete is the number one, the easy one. As the concrete arrives at the site, they'll have to pour test cylinders. They let them cure for various amounts of time, and then they break them to determine what the strength of the concrete is. The testing has to reveal that the concrete that's used meets the loading requirement that the engineer specifies. And that's a third-party testing that happens. The same thing happens with mortar for masonry. Any steel connections have to go through tests. In some cases, soil material will have to go through tests. So that's basically an allowance to cover all of the required materials testing that goes into construction in public work in Massachusetts. Next slide, please. I was also asked about the delta in the numbers for bidding expenses. Once again, it's a rule of thumb that my spreadsheet calculates. We can absolutely renormalize this. Since the time that, since we did the study on the public safety building, we've actually seen a reduction in costs of bidding expenses because so many of the online platforms are less expensive than we used to have when we used to have to print lots of sets for all the bidders. That could get very expensive. Nowadays, everybody's bidding online one way or another, and the cost of that has dropped substantially. So, part of it is it was an old number, and the other part of it is, we can renormalize them both to line up. And then there's the one I alluded to earlier about the construction contingency. It is listed at a higher percentage, 7.5% for the renovation versus 5% for the new construction. And that is basically because you never know what you're going to find when you're opening up an existing building. I walked through the building. I didn't poke any holes in any walls. I didn't poke holes in any floors. I saw what I could see. If we open up a wall and find out that there's been some water damage in there that we couldn't see, then, you know, you're going to have to remediate that. And that's what that extra contingency is in there for, the things that we just can't see at this level. Now, should you move forward in this direction and acquire the building and we go in and open up the walls, we might find that we can, you know, see enough to help reduce that number. But at this point, from what we know now, I would strongly recommend at least a 7.5% contingency on a renovation. Next slide, please. All right, so this is the question about, since the new construction is coming in at a lower cost than the renovation, you know, if the town was willing to spend the higher number to do a new building, what would you add to it? And I think this was interesting to me because the very next question answered this. What I would recommend, and what I recommend to all my clients, is the first thing I would add into a program is making sure that the building goes well into the future. So I would look at what are our options for pre-planning for future space. I wouldn't necessarily build it now, but I would look at it, and it could be vertical and it could be horizontal, because remember I said that we used to have that entire public safety building on that site. I am certain that we could plan for a bigger footprint, which is probably your cheaper alternative in the long run, for planning for future space, because it's single story, no stairs, no elevators. Could you go up vertical? Yes. You'd have to make sure that you pre-plan for where the stairs and elevators will go and end up in a functional location. So that, number one would be, yes, I would pre-plan for future growth. There is a little bit simpler thing that you could embrace, and that is just to give a little bit more room inside the areas that grow the most in police stations. Locker rooms is the one area that grows the most over time. You know, if this building is still around well past the projection here, if you can add a few more lockers, or, you know, change the number of lockers, you're going to buy more life out of that building before you have to invest more in it. So we don't have to put the lockers in, but maybe we do think about a little bit of extra space. You know, the patrol areas in the building, I would give a little extra space in those, just so, again, you can accommodate that future growth. You don't need, you know, there's only one chief, so we don't need an extra chief's office or anything like that. It's thinking about the areas where we normally see growth. Storage is a good one. Evidentiary storage is one that, you know, I've seen get much larger with a bigger department. So again, a little bit of extra square footage in there would buy you more time on the life cycle of the police facility. So yeah, if you were willing, the town were willing to invest a little bit more, those are the things I would focus on. Next slide, please. Okay, now here's the question. Yeah, can we add on? Could we go vertical or horizontal? The answer is a definitive yes. We could rework that site plan and get more square footage as a single story, or we could plan for a two-story in the future. So yes, you have those options. And the next slide. What, if any, costs have been left out of the study due to unknown costs, e.g. environmental remediation or structural issues? What would be a rough estimate of those costs? And do you have a rough estimate? This is a multi-part question, so I got to give you a multi-part answer. No environmental testing has been done. There was a initial environmental assessment on the DPW site in the previous study. I don't anticipate finding any environmental conditions in there unless there has been an unreported spill that doesn't show up in the Mass DEP records. So as long as we don't have anything like that, honestly, we shouldn't have any environmental issues based on the previous study. But until somebody tests, we don't know. Likewise, at the bank building, because of its former uses, again, I don't anticipate finding any environmental contaminants there. Testing is always a smart move. So do I have a rough estimate? No, because I have no idea. It could be zero or it could be money. When we did Lexington Fire Headquarters, The old fire station was built on a site where there was a prior building. And when they demolished the prior building, they left some asbestos-containing materials and a little bit of oil in the soil because the DEP didn't have the same regulations they do today. And so we took down the building they were in and had to remediate stuff from the building that was there before. It's always a possibility, but just based on what I've seen in the record, I don't anticipate it. But I can't, in good conscience, I can't give you a wag on this right now. So that was part one of the question. Oh, we did not do hazmat investigations inside the bank building. I did see one space where I saw something that might be asbestos floor tile. Again, I'm an architect, I'm not an industrial hygienist. I didn't see anything else that raised red flags for me in there. My estimator did carry a small allowance. I think he carried $50,000 just in case there's hidden contaminants in there. But certainly if you were going to enter into a purchase agreement, it would be worth the while to just do an inspection. Those are not huge dollars, $8,000-9,000 or something like that. Structural issues, we did again anticipate some structural reinforcing and some structural reconstruction in the bank renovation, specifically where that ramp in the lobby is. We did include reworking the stairs so that we could make them code compliant. So we've already got that, and plus advised the estimator to allow for some structural reinforcement for the lateral loads that I talked about earlier. So I don't anticipate more unless you open up the wall and see something you didn't expect, something that's wet or something that's rotted or something that was cut along the way. And you do have contingency in there just for those things. Okay, that's the end of the questions. There were some duplicates in there, so I didn't repeat them. What's next? Obviously, what I really should have put in here first was that we will finalize the draft into a final document, taking into consideration the comments and changes that we've discussed here tonight. Then I guess we would be looking at doing a couple public information sessions. At some point, the select board needs to come to a conclusion on which direction we would go, and then go forward for a ballot question at some time in the future. Obviously, I don't know the time frame for that. A lot has to do with the feedback you guys get from the public. And I believe with that final slide, I'm ready for any other questions that you might have.
Jeff, I had a quick question. As part of the construction, do you know if I presume that the glass frontage, which is significant, I presume that has to meet some kind of standards for ballistics, that kind of thing. Was that all factored in? Do you know? Or not?
Yeah, the glass on the front facing the public space isn't required to be ballistic. The glass that faces police spaces should be. So yes, there will be some ballistic resistance. Certainly the interface between the public lobby and the administrative window, that will be ballistic, as well as the walls.
Okay.
And so yes, we have factored in ballistic resistant materials. We also factored in replacing the windows and those storefronts because of the energy code, the green community requirements.
So can we, Christina, can you go to the slide that's this one? It's the site by the highway department.
I'm going there too.
Yeah. Okay, so in terms of future expansion, you recommend horizontal versus vertical.
Yeah, just to avoid the cost of stairs. I mean, it's 8,900 square foot building
Yeah.
as it stands in the program today. A single stair is going to be about 200 square feet per floor, maybe a little bit less depending on the floor to floor height. Elevators, 60 square feet. So you're adding a lot of square footage per floor for what's a small floor plate. So yes, I would say that your cheaper alternative would be to pre-plan for a one-story addition.
Okay.
And I know that flies in the face of New England conventional wisdom. Because, you know, you always say, well, if I get a floor and a basement and a floor and a roof, then I'm buying less roof and less,
Yeah.
foundation. But when we're dealing with this kind of construction, you know, the cost of stairs and elevators are gonna outweigh that.
So the other thing, I talked to Jeremy today, our highway supervisor.
Yes,
And I asked him if he supported having the police there. I had heard that he wasn't happy, but he said, no, he's fine with this, and he knows the police need to get a building, and he's okay with this. So we talked a little bit about how he could manage some of his space, because that's gonna take some of the space he uses.
yes.
So he and I talked about cutting into the hill on the north side, which you can't really see. Would that be
Yeah,
part of the
that hatched
cutting? in?
area was the area I
Okay.
proposed originally. Maybe we look at trying to create his stockpile area there.
Yeah. He also mentioned that, I don't know how realistic this is, but actually creating storage areas into the hill. So they would be almost like little tunnels or little burrows into the hill, maybe.
Yeah, for extra soil and gravel and that sort of thing.
Yeah,
you
maybe
could-
even like
you
small
create
equipment.
a three-sided concrete wall and then just back stuff into it.
Yeah.
That's a
Um,
possibility.
So we talked about some of that. And then I also noticed that the property, like the main property there, goes back quite a bit. It's kind of
Yes.
a long triangle.
Yeah,
I asked Joyce on conservation if there were any conservation issues, because I thought there were some wetlands in here.
there is further back.
Further back, but I think there's room for expansion to go back by the highway department if we start to need more room, say we want to put, expanded police.
This area, maybe, there is a lot of stormwater mitigation structures further back over here.
Yeah, she said that
But
some of
This
that,
area might be viable.
yeah, she said that some of that is to handle their salt runoff and stuff.
Yep.
So
I
that-
believe that, all of that work was done at the time the salt shed was built.
Yeah. And then right in front of us, I mean, to the east of the police station, there's some land right there.
Yep, and that's the area that I would use to pre-plan for a bigger footprint.
Okay. And then we could maybe even go south a little bit.
Yep.
Mr. Fountain has some land directly adjacent to this.
Remember
that-
when we did the public safety, all of this was covered, so.
Yeah.
There's a lot of room.
Okay.
With this little footprint that we were showing using in the previous study.
Yeah, okay. Again, I think if, the town might be to be able to, considering a $13,000 project, and now we have a $10 million project. Yeah,
Yeah. Probably get a yes vote on that.
we have some room, money-wise, maybe we put we have a $10 million police station and we throw another 500,000 in to get it ready for expansion or to give the highway department a little more storage room, which is, not that bad if we're looking at a potential cost of 13
Yeah,
million.
I give you credit for the forward thinking. I deal with a lot of communities where, think about what's happening today. And I've done a lot of police stations and fire stations where the only reason I couldn't reuse their building is there was no more room.
Yeah, okay,
That breaks my heart when I see that.
yeah. I think that's it for me. Anybody?
I only have general comments. We're talking about a cake, but we don't have the money for the cake yet. Either if it's a new site, used an existing building. I mean, we can go ballistics in trying to see the details, count the steps, count the square footages, where's the parking, where's the expansion, but I believe, just as a comment, and it was our fault, when we presented the first concepts, we show some pictures showing other police stations from very wealthy towns. And that was a very negative impact on the people, you know, like, hey, we're Warren, we're not looking at that kind of finishes or, you know, luxury.
Mhm. And then we came back in the final presentation and showed them a number of facilities.
I just want to express that to the public, that we are not doing a five-star hotel.
No.
The price is, we're narrowing the price, and now in either direction we take is Warren ready for this, right? Because we, you know, if we have a number, then we can pick which direction we can have.
You still actually have more choices beyond that. Always
We
remember
do,
that.
but we don't have the money for the cake.
So,
yet.
yeah, I mean, you know,
So we could go crazy on options and things and look at all small details, but if the town says no,
yep.
Well, yeah. That's what I'm saying, spending a little extra money to make it ready for expansion, and people may say no.
yeah.
We want we'll do the 10, and that's, we're done with that. Or we'll do nothing. I don't know.
So
It's
I,
hard to
I
say.
think the board should look into, you know, take the temperature, you know, of the town, which way it's gonna go. Because if we get a big no, but just trying to do this, it's not gonna help us do all this work.
Of course.
If there's some hope out there that, you know, the town will support it, then we can go and buy the cake. And choose the color and everything, but.
Yeah.
Well, I think at the public meetings that we do, we can do some of that.
So,
You know, here's where we started at, you know, 26, 28, $30 million for a combined. Now we're down to 10 and 13. You know, is this more palatable to people,
I hope so.
right?
And, you know, you can always, there haven't been a lot of grants out there that, for
Yeah.
bricks and mortar. However, I have seen a couple communities reach out to their local reps and get some help. So if you haven't
Okay.
had those conversations, I would encourage you to start. The worst they can say is no.
Yeah,
And, you know, I have a client down in Connecticut that reached out to their state reps, and the state reps had some connections with the federal government, and you know, they're getting, you know, $2 million on their project.
yeah, 10%, 20%,
Yeah.
any amount would help.
Yeah, and, you know, when they asked me, do you know of any grants? I said, the only one I know of is the EOC grant, which you can get up to $1 million for, you know, setting up an EOC, which you could do. You could certainly use that to make your training room as an EOC if you want to pursue that. And I've had a couple clients get that grant.
I think we have to go into it assuming we don't get a grant,
Yeah.
right? We have to, people have to be comfortable spending 10. And then if there's comfortable with that, then we try and knock the price down with earmarks or grants or whatever.
Yeah, sometimes they take a while to get
Yeah,
in place.
right.
We,
But,
we also have to be very clear and very informative, because the public tend to do, $10 million divided into 15 households. I can't afford that.
Yep.
So we have to explain them how the process is, and, you know, it's a loan, and it's spread out through many years. So, yeah, there's an increment, but it's not $1,000 that everybody, or $5,000 everybody's talking about. I'm just going from reading the post on social media, you know, what they think or what they throw.
Of course, yeah.
yeah,
But we need to be very thorough on explaining to people what does a number like $10 million is gonna do to their budget. Like, we have many people in fixed income, many retired people.
Yep.
And what does that mean? You know?
And
what
I
it
believe
is,
your financial advisor, when we were doing the public safety project, ran the numbers for us for the impact to taxpayers. So I would think we would do the same thing.
Yeah, do the same thing, the same analysis.
Because it's not the same thing, and when you go buy a car, how much is it? It's 40 grand. Oh, I don't have that money, but you only pay $200 a month. Oh, okay. So,
Yeah.
we have to, you know, at the same time that we're being conscious that, you know, from 26, we're coming down to 10, not because we just made it smaller, but we ditched the fire department.
Yeah.
And our basic need, like Ray said one time, what we need and what we want, you know, is what we're looking here. We need a police station. We need it. We're 100% sure that we need it, and this is how we can get it.
Yeah.
Meaning that we're gonna approve a $10 million project doesn't mean that everybody's gonna buy the 40 grand car at once.
Yeah.
Any other comments?
Nothing for Jeff. Thank you.
Thank
Did
you.
get-
Appreciate
Did
the
you get
answer.
that thing from me, that the steps on the outside? Just on the-
I'm sorry?
Did you saw that entrance issue on the plans? I'm going picky right now, but
At the
on
front?
the bank, if you go into there are two entrances in the front.
Yep.
In one, you go 3 steps up. The
Yep.
other one, you go level.
Yeah.
Now, on this side, you turn like, if you're level, there's a big step like that.
Yeah.
You got
Yeah,
it.
I've solved that,
Oh.
yes. Yeah, that, the whole ramp business and the way I reworked the stairs solved both of those.
Yeah, because that didn't make sense on the plan.
Yeah, I
just gonna
scratched
pick
my
you
head
up.
over that one a while when I was
It's
out walking the
irrelevant
building.
because, like I said, we still need to get the money for the cake.
Yeah.
Once we get that, I'm sure we can go 100% on a very nice building, not fancy, but functional and safe for the
I
police.
agree, I agree. We've done a number that way. All right.
I think we're good then. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity, and
Yeah.
we'll get the final document out. Unless there's any comments that come in the next week or so, we'll get the final document out and talk about when we make the next steps.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, does the board want to consider any potential dates, meeting dates yet, or you
Yeah,
want?
as long as Jeff's here, yeah. Then we don't have to go back and forth with calendars, right?
You're aware of the dates that I'm not.
Well, we are, but say them again.
From the 15th of September to the 30th of September, I will be.
Okay. So how many would we do, like, 1 or 2 information meetings? Two? So what do you think? We'd have to do one, like when's Labor Day? Okay. Either the first or second week of September, or we push it to October. Any thoughts? And then the second one would be
I
sometime
don't know,
after.
the sooner the better, because
Okay.
there's a businessman waiting there for an answer.
Jeff, what do you need for prep time? I mean, if we set something early September, God, you know, it's two weeks, 3 weeks away. Okay. I mean, maybe after Labor Day, like, what did we do last time? They did like,
They were spread out over many months.
no, but I mean, we did like a Thursday night or do you remember?
Changed each time.
Yeah,
It
they were
did,
different
yeah.
days, yeah.
So we could do, if we wanted to do a Thursday night, we could do the 3rd or the 10th. The 3rd? Okay. What do you think?
Like, I agree with Derek, sooner the better.
Okay.
My personal opinion would be, we do one meeting that covers all the issues, it gets recorded, and we're done with it. Because a second meeting is, in my opinion, it'd be kind of pointless. If people
Yeah,
want to,
okay.
if people want to get involved in this and say their piece, they need to do it. We need to stop pushing this. We need to get it done ASAP, one meeting. If you care, you'll be there. If you care and you can't be there, you'll send a surrogate. If you
Or it'll be
care,
recorded.
it'll be recorded, and you can always approach us after the meeting or before the meeting. You don't have to be in attendance to the meeting, although I'd highly encourage it.
Yeah.
And if you can't be there, we can't accommodate every possible person who wants to be there but can't be. Our offices are open all the time if they want to give input.
Mhm.
And they could give input right after a meeting that's recorded that would be available to them. I think we do one meeting so we can move on this and make a decision.
Okay,
That's
You-
what I
do you
think about
think?
it.
That's perfect.
it's fine with me. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I guess we don't really need
Yeah.
to. I mean, we had two before because we were looking at different
We-
sort of aspects
We
of
actually had
stuff, but-
3 before.
Three, yeah. But this is really like one and done.
It's,
I mean,
it's
I-
time,
Yeah,
it's time to,
yeah. Get the temperature and then move on.
like my mom would say, pee or get off the pot.
And one of the important things, we have to make sure, tell the public that we are not telling them, hey, we're gonna do this.
Right.
This is for you to come and
Decide.
So you
decide.
can
We,
decide.
Yeah.
we are not, imposing our will. It's their town. We're just representing everybody, and we're trying to give solutions to our problems.
Okay, so again, that's gonna be 2 weeks from tonight. You have enough time to prep, and do we have enough time to reserve a room and?
We will call the school tomorrow,
Okay.
and to see if it's available on the 3rd.
Okay, all right. We could,
I mean, it's a short time, I mean, it's only less than 2 weeks.
I think it will be. If the people who care about this are already,
Yeah.
yeah, ready to go.
doing this. What's happening? What's going on? It's your call, I'm sorry. I wouldn't have
I
acknowledged
saw a
you.
lot of people online looking at the Facebook video of this.
Just real quick, Jeff, I really appreciate your updates. Just make sure that those updated numbers with the elevator versus chairlift alternative and the new numbers for the new build. Because that's a significant, that's a significant change.
Jim, do you have a comment?
Yeah, just one thing, that September 3rd is the first day of school. I don't know if
Parents are gonna be
Just,
out.
just put that out there.
Yeah, but I don't know, does that make a difference? It's school, I mean, the 10th, you'd have school too.
This is a big deal.
You may still have people on vacation, because the Labor Day's late this year too, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, and the first day of school, people may want not to come out that evening because their kids are first day of school. Thank you, Jim.
Okay.
I think that's a worthwhile factor to
Yeah.
consider.
All right, do you want to do the 10th? That would be the next Thursday.
Well, I think Jeff may
Oh.
have a conflict. What about the 9th? Would the 9th?
We could do,
Well, I don't know, you want to do the 9th?
9th of work,
Okay. September 9th? Gives another week to get the word out. Okay.
And it's after Labor Day.
Yeah. Uh, 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock?
You tell me.
What did we do before? Do you remember? Hold on.
Six is fine. I'm okay with 6 too.
6 is good? Okay.
6
6 p.m.
o'clock?
So like, 6 to 8 or something.
So that's September 9th, that's a Wednesday, 6 PM
Okay. Yeah.
at Quabog Auditorium. We'll call tomorrow to see if we can get that reserved.
If not, can we do it downstairs?
downstairs.
The gym,
The gym.
Um,
doesn't it?
yeah.
Not
yeah,
yet.
Yeah, doesn't have like a bathroom down there,
Yeah, we don't have a bathroom, I guess. Okay.
I'll call to confirm with you.
Okay, we're good?
That's all, and we'll bid you a good night.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
Jeff,
All right, discussion and vote on appointment of the building commissioner. All right, so we have to make a decision. Where is my? Okay, so we did have a discussion with the building commissioner a couple of weeks ago. So our choice is, I guess, not to appoint or reappoint for some period of time. Most likely a year, but we could do whatever. I do know that Bill was interested, and correct me if I'm wrong, in doing some de-escalation training.
Yes.
Okay. So we, one thing, I don't know how much we can talk about stuff, but
Yeah.
we did discuss training. And so he is interested in doing
So
that.
I guess the thing here is to appoint him or not,
Yeah,
and just go from there and how much time.
yeah. So,
Um,
throw out your
I'll
opinions.
I'll be happy to read either one of these motions regardless of my vote on it, just so you know.
Okay.
I'm happy to read either one because it's just a motion. I think my feelings about this appointment are pretty clear, and without going into another iteration, it's all summed up with a simple statement. Bill is not a public servant. By his own admission, he's not interested in being a public servant. It's interesting to hear his comment that he's open to getting some customer service training. I take it with a grain of salt that based on all of the numerous complaints and the issues that have brought this to be an issue, I just can't support appointing him again. Any other public servant in our town who has the number of complaints, the nature of the complaints against them, we wouldn't, to me, it wouldn't even be an option to consider reappointing them. And so that's all I have to say about that.
Okay. Anything?
Do we have anybody else?
I anticipated this objection, and I totally sympathize with it. I understand it puts the town in a difficult position, that we don't have another potential, we'd have to solicit for a new building inspector, and I'm willing for the town to be exposed to that inconvenience rather than reappointing someone who is not a public servant. We can get, there's alternatives. There's a cost to it. Literally, there may be a cost, but he is on there already is cost of reappointing him, and that cost would continue, and it might even be a little bit more. And then there's the non-financial costs as well, of interviews and potential delays in having inspections and permitting done. Again, on the principle that our town should only accept public servants who serve. I'm willing to pay those other costs to get someone who would be. I spoke to a former building inspector. It was unsolicited about the opinion. I simply asked them how they see their role. The very first sentence out of their mouth was serving the public and helping them. that was unsolicited, I swear to God. And it was like, thank you. This person obviously gets it. They're no longer a building inspector, and I asked, would you be interested? Unfortunately, they're at a retirement age, and they're happy not engaging another significant employment opportunity. This person would be fantastic for our town, but unfortunately, they're not available by their own choice. But yeah, there's other options that would be out there, although it may cost a little bit for the town, both in time and potentially dollars as well. But I think we can do better.
So, a couple questions. First of all, do we have a backup building inspector when Bill's on vacation, or
Yes,
if he were to be out sick?
we have an alternate.
Alternate.
The board appointed an alternate, just to cover, vacation time. The alternate is really not interested in being here on a more permanent basis. He is full-time in the town of Sutton, I believe, so it would be a little bit of a distance.
Do you know of people, or do you is there a buzz out there? Are people available? Could you dig somebody up? You know what I mean?
We would need to do some solicitation in advertising. It's a tough license to get, number one. And there's a lot of people that are, for some odd reason, are not interested in getting involved in the field.
Yeah.
So, we would have to do some recruitment work. It's
Okay.
not impossible, but we would have to do it.
Okay. So potentially we could be covered for a little bit, not a long time, probably, but interim, we would be
Yeah,
okay.
I would
for-
think, this alternate would respond to emergencies.
Ah,
It
okay.
would not be,
Day-to-day.
day-to-day stuff, so, the alternate gets a small stipend for covering vacations,
Yeah.
very small stipend, and, is not going to respond to building permits or anything like that. It will respond to emergencies if need be.
And what do towns do in this case?
They would
just
have
say-
to,
They just say, well, you gotta wait until,
recruit somebody in larger communities, have a full-time, staff or a full-time alternate or something like that,
well, I'm just saying, if we let him go, and this guy is only gonna do emergencies,
Yeah.
what are we telling people? You j-
There would have to be
just
there's gonna
gotta-
be a wait. There's gonna have to be some,
There'd be some pain involved
Yeah.
for at least some period of time. But that's basically what small towns in this area do. Bill works for 4 towns right
Yeah.
now, so
Yeah, I mean,
they
other,
share, it's a regionalized approach.
this is what we,
And,
yeah,
yeah.
had all along.
So we'd have to tap into someone else who may or may not be willing to accommodate us, or just an outright recruitment.
So, you wanna say something?
Well, I recognize the public factor. I do recognize, how the contractors will suffer from not having an inspector and
Mm.
getting their job done. Because if you don't get an inspector, you can't continue with the job.
Yeah.
So I get all the picture. I rather appoint him for another year and try to get someone else for the future and see how he's doing. I mean, he hasn't done anything really bad. More than, customer service is not at its best.
Yeah. So I'm a little worried that we jump out of the frying pan into the fire. So I've been in town, this is my 3rd building inspector, and the 2 before Bill had similar complaints and similar problems. So, related to customer service, so I guess I'm nervous that, Bill is good at what he does, but we let him go, and we bring on somebody who may not be as good, but has the same issues, like the others that we've had. So that's kind of my, like, my sticking point. So I'm sort of leaning to what Derek's thinking, is we go another year. I mean, we could even do 6 months, but we go some period of time and see what happens. If he does the training, if things improve, if we keep getting complaints, then I'm fine with, moving on. I know we had a complaint at the last meeting that was different than presented, I'll just say that. So it sounded like it reflected bad on him, but not necessarily. So, is that a fair thing to say?
Yeah, I had a conversation with Bill regarding Travis's concerns, and I had a conversation with Travis regarding his concerns. And I think, after, talking it through with everybody, I think everybody understood, there was some communication issues going on there. Multiple parties, you had people that were involved who owned the property, you had property managers, you had other contractors, you had other inspectors involved. There was a whole host of different things. You had an insurance company involved, you had an adjuster involved, so there's a lot of moving parts in there. And if one person, doesn't return a call or doesn't get back to somebody, it can really screw up the whole chain of events.
Okay, all right.
Let's make a motion.
Well,
Would the board consider an appointment till the end of the calendar year?
I would consider that,
Yeah, that's fine.
All right.
yeah.
Then I move to reappoint William Cantel to the office of Building Commissioner for the term of July 1, post-dating, getting
Yeah.
it back to the normal cycle, to December 31st, 2026.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Well, who's in favor?
Derek Bailey's aye.
Richi Hacker, aye. All opposed?
Ray Capaco, nay.
Okay. All right, motion carries.
So, just for some direction from the board, when December 31st comes about, what would you like to see happen?
Well, I think before December 31st, maybe,
Yeah.
we'd wanna start talking. So around the 15th.
Okay?
Well, it also depends how he behaves.
Yeah, but we still
No,
gotta, but then we're gonna decide another 6 months is basically where we would be.
We'd reconsider in December.
Yeah.
And maybe early December, just so we
Yeah.
don't get jammed up on holidays and
Yeah,
stuff.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. So, yeah, if this can appear on the agenda, early to mid-December.
Okay.
And I
Chris-
think,
Maybe Christina could put it on old business, just so it's,
Yeah, why not?
old business,
Just
to
to
look at
think
in
about.
November.
yeah. And then, and we need everything, we need stuff noted and documented. If there's a complaint, if there's an issue, if there's no trainings attended, I mean, he's gonna be under the microscope for 6 months, I would say. And then we can make a decision. All right. Okay, anticipated vote to authorize the payment of warrants and bills. Who's doing that?
I make a motion to pay the following warrants. Payroll 0327, $144,445 with 26 cents. Accounts payable 0727, $987,528 with 57 cents. Accounts payable 0827, $257,000 with $40.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Ray Capaco, aye.
Derek Bailey's aye.
Richi Hacker, aye. Motion carries.
Make a motion to pay the following bills. Comcast Business, $279 with 89 cents. Lowe's, $27.53. American Tower, $2,474.70. SBA Structures LLC, $1,860.66. Hampton Communications Corp., $1,950. EDP Renewables Streetlights, $1,685.71. EDP Renewables Shepherd, $1,203.21. EDP Renewables Shepherd, $38.52. Pine Ridge Technologies, Inc., $805.50. Modern Pest, $125. Stericycle Shredded, $351.20. Verizon, $530. National Grid Electric, $106.26. National Grid Gas, $176.06. 360 Building and Remodeling, $5,200. Christina Heavens Overnight Parking, $73. with
Overnight package.
overnight package.
I was wondering what overnight parking was.
I'll say overnight PKG, $73.05. Titan Bond, $9,000. Warren Water District Fire Hydrant Protection, $11,684. New Systems Associates LLC, $777. BEC Plumbing and Heating Inc., $224.36. BEC Plumbing and Heating Inc., $3,308.99. Entra Technologies, $3,332.08. Mia Property and Casualty Group Inc., $849. Bigelow Electrical Corp. Inc., $335. PEAC Solutions, $649. 360 Building and Remodeling, $3,000. And there's a rectification for Carasoft Technologies Corp. Zoom for $289.18.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Ray Capaco, aye.
Derek Bailey's aye.
Richi Hacker, aye. Motion carries. All right. Meeting minutes for 8/6/2026. So I have two questions. So first of all, Christina, there were revisions, but I couldn't, they weren't marked, so I had like the original and then the revised, and I wasn't gonna try and like rectify between the two, so was there minor changes?
Two were minor, like editorial
Okay,
two-word changes, and then the third was an addition of a sentence on number 2, the last sentence.
okay. So let me look at those. On number 2. Okay. Okay.
The very last sentence in number 2.
Yeah.
I had spoken with Christina about this, and it was my recollection that there was an acknowledgement that we would try to implement policy, starting with inspection departments, and for response. How could the town avoid a reoccurrence of this situation that was being addressed under the whole permitting and inspection process that this agenda item was dealing with? And I thought it was the consensus, at least, if not the directive, that we start working on a policy to address the issue in general, as how the town can be more responsive to the residents. And that last sentence, that the town administrator agreed responses should be made within a specific time frame and time-stamped when received. That's what you're speaking of, Christina, that, again, so there wasn't a clear directive for the town administrator to come up with a policy, but it was kind of a consensus, we should move in that direction. So that's what was trying to be incorporated in the minutes.
Okay,
And so if that's a fair assessment, that's what the intent was.
okay. I would just ask, though, if you're gonna have a revision like that, highlight or something so we know what changed. You could even do the, yeah, go ahead.
What I will also recommend is that, well, with changes to minutes, they should be voted on and reviewed at a meeting.
Okay.
Individual selectmen should not go to Christina and ask
Yeah, that's-
to
yeah.
be changed minutes. The minutes should be sent out a week prior, the selectmen can review the minutes, and then at the meeting, revisions should be proposed and changes should be voted on.
Okay, so even minor spelling or,
Well, that's minor.
okay,
That's,
Okay.
but content change?
Correct.
Adding, removing, okay.
So I'm going to appreciate that input. I think we've just done that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but next
right now.
time, yeah.
But for next time, we'll do
Right.
that. The other input I had for Christina was simple grammatical and sentence structure things.
Yes,
That
that's.
they were
Yeah.
just grammatical, which
Yeah.
I think would, right, but if there's contextual or content,
Yeah, changes, yeah.
we'll leave it, and then we'll address it
At
at
a
this
meeting.
time in the meeting,
Yeah.
when it's time to approve the minutes. So,
And then the other thing too is remember, minutes don't have to be a transcript. We're getting kind of near transcript level minutes. You want to get the highlights. You want to make sure you capture decisions that resulted in a vote and how the vote came out, obviously. But a lot of times, it almost sounds like there's a conversation happening in the minutes, and you don't have to do that. I mean, it'll save you a little bit. It might help to go through, almost do like an outline of that section, then take the outline and condense it, right? I don't know if you're just kind of like cranking through, like typing as you're listening or however you do it. But maybe throw an extra step in there to maybe do that, but then summarize it. Yeah. It's a fine line, because you're thinking, well, that's important, but really a lot of it can be condensed, so it's easier to read and understand.
Okay,
So, it's something to work on,
absolutely, appreciate the input.
yeah. All right, so with all that, I guess we need a motion for the minutes as amended. We'll do that for 6-2? 8-6. Yeah.
so I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the public meeting on 8/6/2026.
Is there a second?
Second,
All in favor?
Ray Capaco, aye.
Derek Bailey's aye.
Rich Hacker, aye. Motion carries. Town Administrator report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, everybody. Just a couple things I'd like to report on since our last time that we met. The requested kitchen sink has been installed in the break room for staff. That was brought to my attention by the board that they would like to see that done. That is done. That project has been finished and finalized. Also, while the board, while one of the contractors was here, we had noticed that there was some weatherization needs that needed to be addressed on the exterior of the building. And I'll be more than happy to show the board those areas. But there was some rotting wood that was around some of the windows, as well as some of the vents in the exterior of the building that we had replaced with like a sheet metal for further protection and insulation in preparation for the winter. So that was taken care of while 360 was here. You will see that there was two separate costs. One was for that, for the exterior building work, as well as there was some drains that were cleared, and there was grass growing on the roof of one of the roofs out there that was also cleared out by 360. Again, we're trying to get water away from the building in preparation for winter and rain season. So we had them here. We took advantage of them to take care of some of the exterior of the building. The kitchen sink obviously was on a separate ticket for that, addressing that. And BEC Plumbing took care of our plumbing needs for rerouting the plumbing for that job. So we were very pleased with the final product. Bids came in today for the translucent panel replacement project. Still working on some of the, in reviewing the bids. We're hoping to have a path identified for the town in the next week or so. This week we had a benefits fair for our employees on Tuesday. For our full-time employees, they were able to make changes to their health insurance, make changes to their beneficiaries for life insurance, to add additional voluntary life insurance, to talk to our Smart Plan representative for our 457 deferred compensation plan. I really want to thank Dawn Swistak, our treasurer, as well as our reps from Boston Mutual, the Smart Plan, and Maya for coming out for the day in Colonial Life. They were all great. They were here. We had about a little over 20 employees. They're coming back to catch some of the employees that they didn't catch in police and fire. So we were very happy with the benefits fair and to help our employees make the best decisions and most informed decisions for their loved ones and their families. We also had this week a server vulnerability assessment and test that was conducted by TOSS. As I mentioned to the board, I'm working with the state cybersecurity experts and cybersecurity department on setting the town up for a grant for a future replacement of the server. Our server has been identified as getting up there in age and has some things that are going to need to be addressed with the server. It's going to be out of warranty, and there's no additional warranties that we're going to be able to buy. So at some point, it is beyond it's going to be beyond its reach its useful life, and we should look at replacing it. And hopefully, by doing these tests and assessments, and I'm going to be applying for a grant with the state to get that replaced at some point, probably next year sometime. So that first assessment took place this past Tuesday. It was free, and we're going to take that assessment and apply for the grant. We had a non-mandatory pre-bid walkthrough for the HVAC project at the senior center this week. There was a company that showed up along with Ty and Bond, our engineers and architects on the project. There was a company from Rhode Island that came out and looked at the project. We're hoping that they will bid as well as several other companies. I had a meeting with the Central Mass District Administrative Board. That's for the Central Mass Regional 911 District Administrative Board meeting. Again, we're finalizing contract negotiations with the executive director, the deputy director, as well as the CBA agreement with the dispatchers. We're very close on finalizing those. The ones for the director and deputy director are finalized. The CBA agreement is back in the attorney's hands that represent the union, and we're hopeful that that's going to be settled very soon. The wheelchair lift is back in operations. The public meetings can continue on here at the Shepherd Building. So we're encouraging all the various committees and departments, if they would like to meet here. There's a new sign-up board right outside the Selectmen's meeting room that Christina put together, so committees can sign up and use this meeting space again. We are also in the process, the board approved the expenditure of funds. We have a new one-year license for Pro Zoom account. That's officially the town's account.
Okay.
It is not going off of somebody else's credit card.
Thank you.
So we have our own account now. Christina set that up last week. We overnighted a check directly to Zoom. That was the overnight fee that the board had paid for. And so we have an account now. And so in the future, we're going to be offering hybrid meetings again if the board so chooses. Would like to have that option. We just have to make sure that it's posted appropriately for the hybrid option for the meeting. I have also went into and decided on a chapter lane civil engineers and land surveyors for the land surveying work at the senior center. They have been retained, and they will be moving forward with the surveying work that was approved at town meeting, and that project should be wrapped up by mid-October.
Okay. Any questions?
Nope.
All right, thank you, Jim. Thanks. All right, any new business? Any old business? I'll just, before we've got regional school agreement revision. I don't know if that needs to stay. Anything with the Palmer racetrack, have you heard?
As far as I know, they were just still in court.
Yeah. Okay. I think we can take the time capsule off. And then correspondence from the assessor is
Yeah, I do have, this is a draft of a potential letter.
Okay.
I want to give you guys to consider. We don't have to really go into it right now. I don't know if it's, there's, so the top is just a suggestion, a draft to respond. All the pages behind it are just supplemental.
Yeah, okay.
The letter I'm responding, well, when I say the letter that is being responded to. And then the last pages are something I make reference to in the draft.
Okay.
So, I think it's pretty self-explanatory, and maybe we can take it up at the next meeting.
Yeah, okay. All right. that
And
sounds
it's
good.
just a draft, and I just to start how to respond.
Yeah, okay.
So,
All right, any other old business?
Not all business, nothing out of the ordinary. I just want us to pay attention how we are doing our email subjects and try to be a little bit more organized.
Okay.
You know, you can go online and just do a quick search, what's the best practice for subjects, but in my case, for example, if I read through the subjects or I search through our emails, and sometimes, like for example, I'm requesting email format, that's the subject. It doesn't tell me much. What is it? Just let's try to look at how we are sending the emails with the subject, and you know, maybe we can come up with a system, or you know, like I like how BOS minutes, because that's very
Easy
quickly to find.
Yeah.
But if suddenly I'm reading here and it says, I don't know, I'm just going randomly, Tuesday, August 4th. You know, what is that? So if we can or Shipper Building, what's up with the Shipper Building? Did it fall off? Did it close? Did it, and just, so we can improve our way of searching stuff and looking at stuff.
Okay.
Just when we send an email, look at the subject, exactly, so sometimes with the subject, it pulls our attention and read it right away. Or,
Yeah.
Just, it's somebody just sending some propaganda and you can just go through it.
All right. Okay, correspondence. There's a thing from Verizon that they are shutting down their ISDN lines. I don't know that anybody uses ISDN anymore, but if you are.
There are 2 departments that affects.
Really?
Yes,
Wow.
actually 3. There's lines within this building, the fax line here,
Yeah.
and police and fire.
Wow.
boy.
Why? Oh, okay, yeah, whatever. Okay, well, they're going away.
So I've reached out to police and fire. I've given them the contact for our Verizon rep for other solutions, because they obviously are gonna need their fax lines. And I've asked the chiefs to look into working out a solution with our Verizon rep.
So you still need faxes?
We have restraining orders and a fax over from the board.
They're not emailed? Okay.
Can we look as a town for a fax.com number? Because that way you will receive your faxes on an email, you can send your faxes through
Yeah,
an
that's what
email.
I mean, yeah, there's free stuff or really low cost.
It's
I mean,
$10 a month.
So they're gonna look at Verizon, our rep, and then they're gonna come up with some solutions,
Okay.
and then we'll go from there.
All right. Yeah, I mean, if it's super expensive.
Right.
It's
Some
not-
of this stuff, especially the faxes for the police and fire, there are medical records, there's
Oh,
other
okay.
things, so there's things that are involved there that
Well,
are,
that's what we use in the prison system.
yeah.
Fax.com. And they used to have, every prison had a fax inside the prison.
Yeah.
And for us, it was very difficult to connect all our computers to that fax. But now we solve it, and it's $10 a month.
Okay. You got this, Jerry?
Yeah.
We'll keep that in mind.
We'll figure something out.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay.
Either that or we'll have nothing.
Pathfinder is having a ribbon cutting at Cold Spring, so they were gifted a Belchertown elementary school that closed, Cold Spring School. So when is that? September 18th at 9:30. Although it says by invitation only, so maybe I shouldn't be reading this. But it's happening. You may not be able to go. And then we just got, I think this was just a courtesy thing from the planning board, right? Babe's
Yeah.
Lawn Care is doing a special permit. And Laura doing her due diligence, sent the whole thing.
So the special permit is something that I've asked Laura to send out to all departments.
Everybody, yeah.
So for comments, so if there's a comment
Yeah.
from the select board, you
Yeah.
know,
Okay. All right.
she sends it to police, fire,
Yeah.
all the departments, highway, get a comment, and, so that the planning board will have comments that they can consider.
Okay. So if anybody has comments, just send them directly to Laura, I think is fine. So we are going to have a dedication of our honor roll wall near the library. And that is going to be Wednesday, September 6th at 1 p.m.
September 16th.
What did I say?
Sixth.
September 16th. Thank you. I think that was it that's all I have for correspondence. Does that sound right?
Yep.
Okay. Our next meeting is September 3rd. Is that? That's good. 9/3/26 at 6 p.m. And then just to remind everybody, we're going to have a public meeting on the public safety complex issue on September 9th at 6 PM at Quabog. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second,
All in favor?
Ray Capaco, aye.
Derek Bailey's aye.
Richi Hacker, aye. Motion carries.